My name is Sasha Graham, and I am so excited to be here today to bring you a contemplative tarot practice, 78 Gates to Sublimity and Transcendence. So, this is going to be an amazing talk. What you need to get for yourself in order to get ready for this, you can obviously listen along, but if you read, this is going to be an immersive talk. So if you want to partake, I would say go ahead right now and grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper so that you can get ready when we really get to the work of what it is that we're going to be doing. So let's just take a moment and talk about the subject of this lecture. We're talking about using tarot as a contemplative practice. What does that mean? A contemplative practice, being contemplative with something, is essentially a very unique way, a very specific way of looking at something, in this case, tarot cards. So what does that mean? Well, contemplative practices, there's dozens of them, but in every contemplative practice, what we're doing is we're focusing with our whole heart. We're focusing with our whole body. We kind of put our wants and our needs aside and focus on the image, the thing that's right in front of us. Now, why do we say that tarot is 78 gates to sublimity? Well, tarot is essentially 78 doorways, 78 gates into archetype, energy, the imagination. So tarot, you can use the tarot cards, obviously, for fun and for fortune telling, but they really come alive when you use them as a gate into your own subconscious and into the consciousness inside the cards themselves. Now, when we talk about the sublime, right? Why would we use tarot as a gateway into the sublime? What we're talking about is merging with the divine, merging with that which is greater than ourselves. And of course, this leads inadvertently to transcendence. And what does transcendence mean? To transcend ourselves, to transcend our ego. And other than all of this being mind-blowing and wild and kind of fabulous and sometimes scary to experience, it has a very real and very important thing that all of this does, which is that it helps us discover inner space, right? When we've transcended the ego, when we've gotten out of the things that we want and need, when we get out of the thinking mind, when we come into communion with the energy of a card, right? We start to develop this deep whole body listening. So that if you're someone who reads cards on the regular, or even if you just pull tarot cards from time to time because you think they're fun or you think they're cool, when you engage with the cards on this intimate level, you begin to gain access to all sorts of inspiration. And really, it's kind of like the doors of possibility are really blown wide open. So the other great thing about a contemplative tarot practice is it doesn't take a lot. It's a practice, right? It's about returning to it again and again. So with any of the things that we're going to be doing, take them home with you, put them in. If you flip a tarot card a day, bring this into your card a day practice. Maybe you do some of these exercises with a card at night before you go to bed or on the weekend, right? When you want to explore. Also, contemplative tarot is essentially the best thing you can do when you want to learn about tarot, because the cards are speaking to us all the time. And you really, I think most people, most tarot readers, and most people who work with tarot are constantly coming to the cards with questions. You want to know what's going on with my love life, or what should I do? How can I find my perfect life path? Or is he thinking about me? Or we all come to tarot loaded with questions and desires. And we really want the cards to just tell us. 9 times out of 10, we want the cards to tell us what we want to hear. But the cards are there to tell us what we need to hear or what we need to see. Because it's not just that the cards are communicating with us and sending us messages all of the time. The entire universe is sending us messages all the time. But the big question is, are you there to receive it? Right? Are you there to receive it? Because the most important part of a tarot reading isn't the bells and whistles, the incense and the candles and the music and the flash of your beautiful art cards. The most important part of a tarot reading is the state that you as the reader are in. Right? And so all of these different contemplative practices that I'm going to share with you today are going to help bring you into a space of reception, and the ability to share space with an energy, with art, with symbols, tarot symbols, with archetype, that continue whispering to us, as long as they're in our lives, if we're willing to listen. The other thing that I would suggest, or what I would say is really marvelous about cultivating a contemplative tarot practice, is that just in general, most of us are really, it's hard to keep focus in today's day and age, right? Technology, constant messages, scrolling on social media. I mean, it's all interrupting our thought process. It's taking us out of being in the moment. And any brilliant tarot card reading that you do for yourself or for another person brings you into the moment, right? It brings you out of the thinking head, because at the point at which you're giving yourself a really good reading, or you're giving someone else a really wonderful reading with your tarot cards, you're completely in the moment, you're completely open, you're receptive, and you're letting the information not only flow through you, but you're allowing the cards to enter you. So these are all really, really important and wonderful reasons to have a contemplative tarot practice. And the other thing that I'll say that is important to keep in mind when you're approaching the cards in this way is that we really release what we think we want from the cards, right? Harkening back to this idea that our cards are a relationship, and how we constantly come to tarot with questions. What if, how, what's going to happen, this, that, the other. Could you imagine if you had a best friend that every time you sat down together, you just started asking about yourself, right? Tarot is a two-way street. Tarot is a relationship. Tarot goes both ways. And so we gather so much incredible information when we sit down and ask the cards what they want from us, right? It's a two-way thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring you in to the first exercise. We have a series of 6 exercises that we're going to be doing today. So the first exercise is a gentle gaze. What does that mean, a gentle gaze? It means that you can either pull a card, shuffle and pull a card randomly, or specifically choose the card that you would like to observe. And just sit and share space with that card. Now, in order to properly, gently gaze, you should give yourself a time limit. I always suggest something like 5 minutes as a start. And you can begin with 1 minute. As a matter of fact, we can bring the magician card up on the screen. I'm going to invite you, without agenda, without anything but curiosity, observe this image. Soft gaze means to let everything around you, kind of in your peripheral vision, kind of drift away as you focus on the image in front of you. Allow the colors of the card to kind of fall on your eyes. Be willing to sit and look at all the tiny details. And perhaps you'll notice something. If you've seen this image before, perhaps you'll notice something that you've never seen. Just allow the card to enter your consciousness. Sit with it. Allow your eyes to move to the four corners of the card. To observe the character's clothing. Observe the character's posture. Examine what's happening in the foreground and in the background. And if you're familiar with this image, see if you can notice something that you've never seen before. So that was a little over a minute of just doing a gentle gaze with the card. You're going to take this into your personal practice. I would really invite you to take a card and try just gentle gazing it for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. Maybe you could even work yourself up to 30 minutes or an hour. I guarantee you, interesting things will start to happen. And as always, not only will it be interesting to see what you observe within the card itself, but it also gives you an opportunity to also notice what's coming up in your mind, right? A lot of, I think, meditative and contemplative practices talk about, as you're meditating, like thoughts moving through your head like clouds. That is not ever what it feels like for me. When I am in a deep meditation, I often things bubble up inside of me. I feel like lava is inside, spilling out, lots of crazy, different physical, emotional, mental reactions will happen when we're sitting in contemplation, when we're sitting in meditation. And as uncomfortable or as bizarre or wild as these things may be, they're really important because they're teaching you about yourself, right? They're teaching you the patterns of your brain, of your emotions, of your heart, of all of these different things. So allow yourself to be comfortable with the discomfort, because ultimately you're in charge, right? And you set the amount of time. So you know that it will be over soon enough. So that is a gentle gaze. The next contemplative practice that I would like to share with you is a sixth sense meditation into the card. Now, we're going to begin in that space of a gentle gaze, and then just listen to my voice as we use the Empress card as an example of how to move into this card using our six senses. So once again, sit back. Maybe you take a nice deep inhale and exhale to ground yourself. And soft gaze onto the image of this card. And as you allow yourself to really focus on the lovely face of the Empress, allow the edges of the card to really stand out like a doorway into this world. And as you're peering through the door into this world of sunshine and lushness, allow your mind's eye to move right through that door. If you were to step inside of this car with bare feet, how would that feel? Would the wheat in the field be tickling your calves? Do you feel the scratchy grass underneath? Could you feel the warm sunshine on your cheeks? Could you feel the wind perhaps fluttering your hair? What would it feel like? What does it feel like inside this card? As you step inside this card, what does it smell like to you? Is it that wonderful smell of August, of everything in full bloom? Is the character in front of you, the Empress, wearing a sweet perfume? And if so, what does it smell like? Lilac, lily, rose. And what can you hear? Is there music playing inside this card? Can you hear the water of the waterfall? Can you hear the trees rustling or the wind singing? And what would you taste? Do you get that sense, right? Of wheat, grass. Could you taste it? And what does this figure, as she springs to life in front of you, what does she really look like as her eyes come alive? As her body perhaps starts to move? Now that you've moved inside the card, and you look around and see what lay beyond the borders, behind her, behind you, moving to the left, moving to the right. What is your sense that this character wants from you? Can you listen with your whole body? And when you're ready, And if you've gotten a message, thank this person, this Empress, and pull yourself back. So, of course, this 5 sense meditation is really an exciting and quite tantric way of moving into the cards. And at that point, then you can be free to rustle around in the card, explore the card, feel the water, touch the fabric, you know, converse with the characters on the card, converse with the energy of the card. So now I'm going to bring you through a really strong gate, contemplation, which is looking through the eyes of the card. So it's an interesting thing because we're building upon these practices once you kind of master the gentle gaze. Once you're comfortable with a gentle gaze, then you can move into the sixth sense meditation. So we're going to start again in the same way. We're going to start with a gentle gaze into the High Priestess card. So take a moment to let this image wash over you. It's interesting, the last two images were quite dynamic. There's a very cool, gentle quietude about this card. So go ahead and just observe what's in front of you. Just see it with your eyes, letting them kind of roll over everything that you see here before you. Now, treat the card as if it was a gate or a doorway, allowing those boundaries to expand and step through into the image on this card. How does it feel? Do you see the lunar landscape? Can you hear the soft rustling of the water? Is the High Priestess's pomegranate veil fluttering lightly? Can you perhaps smell the incense, taste the incense of her sacred temple? So using all 5 of your senses, fully inhabit the landscape of this card. Once you've done that, and once you see the card really well, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and see the card in your mind's eye. If you can't quite see the card in your mind's eye, go ahead and open your eyes again. Take another good look at the image, and then close your eyes again and listen to the sound of my voice. You move closer to the image of the High Priestess who sits before you. This is your authentic self. The High Priestess is the blueprint of your soul. She is your incarnate authenticity. She is who you were before you were born, and who and what you'll be after you depart this earth. The scroll that she holds in her lap is the story of your life, but it cannot be read. It can only be lived and experienced. The cross on her chest represents the intersection of your soul in the physical world. And the two pillars that she sits between reflects the polarities that you are always engaged in. Light, dark, energetic, sleeping, masculine, feminine, and all things in between. You are constantly an integration of all of these things. The veil behind her has a pomegranate pattern of the Kabbalistic tree of life. The Kabbalistic tree of life is a diagram of how something moves from the invisible world to the visible world. So the high priestess sits before it because she is the invisible you inside the physical world. All of your knowing, all of your talents, all of your desires, all of everything you are springs from the high priestess. So once again, you look into her eyes and she beckons you forward. So as you move forward, she requests that you sit down on her seat, actually turning yourself around so that you can take up residence in her body. And as you sit as the high priestess in this landscape, I'm going to now invite you to look through high priestess eyes. Don't just look around in your mind's eye, but actually take a moment to now open your eyes and look around the space that you are sitting in through high priestess eyes. What do you notice? What do you see when the most authentic part of who you are takes in the room around you? When you're ready, you can close your eyes again and allow yourself to move up and out of the high priestess's body, thanking her for being a receptacle for wisdom and communion, and then slowly and gently exiting the card and coming back in to your regular body and your regular life. Now, looking through the eyes of the Arcana is not only a practice that can be embodied with any of the tarot cards, any of the 78 cards, but it's also something that once you get used to doing it, you can actually move into that space, whether you're sitting on the subway or on the bus, or you're stuck in traffic, or you're bored, what would happen if you began to look through the high priestess eyes when you were stuck online somewhere? What would happen if you chose to look through your magician eyes when you were waiting for an appointment rather than scrolling on your phone? What often happens when we're looking through the eyes of the arcana, these are activating all of these parts of our own body, of our own psyche. Tarot is a reflection ultimately of who we are. So it can be quite a powerful practice as well, when we want to move into our wisdom, when we want to move into the particular energy of any card. But I would ask any of you to always begin doing this, greet the card in this way before you start taking it out and onto the streets, so that you can really get to have a unique sense of what it feels like to be inside of that card's body. And then always, of course, practice gratitude. So the next practice, and this is one of my favorite things in the world because gosh, I know that I've probably asked tarot 100,000 questions over the course of my lifetime. I would imagine you probably have too. So this practice is, what is the card asking of you? What is the card asking of you? So let's take a look at the World card. And building on all of those practices that we've just been embarking on, take a soft and steady gaze at this jubilant world dancer. Take a moment to notice the tetramorph, the four figures in the corner of the universe card, which relate to the four elements that are essentially what make up the physical world, and how the world dancer is dancing inside the wreath, inside the oval, the birth canal, with her two magic wands. Unlike the magician who began the deck with a single wand, the world card now has two wands. It's to represent the circuitous energy of life, of the repetition of patterns. So take a nice long gaze, noting that the world dancer is nude, reflecting vulnerability, reflecting freedom. See, smell, taste, touch, hear anything. And now, as you're engaged with this card, ask the world, what would you like from me? Ask the world, ask this image, what is it that you would most like from me? Don't force the answer. Let whatever come up, come up. And then go ahead and jot that down with your pen and your paper. So this slow and steady, creating space around the cards before you ask your questions, they're really opening up possibility. They're really bringing you into the moment. And the great thing about what the card is asking of you, because there's something on the other side, right, of those cards looking back at you. They want something for you too. Everything in the world, everything in the universe wants to be noticed. Like the same way that you want people to see you and understand you, that's true for everything in the universe. That's why everything's flying at us, right? All at once. So the question is, what is it that we're focusing on? You know, are we open? Are we open for these messages? Are we open to the things that are revealing themselves to us? And can we be open to those things that really are in our greatest good, or for our greatest good? Because so often what we're looking for is right in front of us. And maybe it's not dressed or put together the way we expected it. And so we don't see it. We never want to miss. We never want to miss those things that we've been desiring, that we've been working toward, that we so want to have in our life. We don't want to be distracted and miss that. So tarot has a beautiful way of revealing these things to us. And tarot always wants our attention as well. So another really interesting contemplative practice you can do is something called deep pondering. So we can deep ponder right now with the Ace of Cups. And let me explain precisely what that means. Every tarot card has at least 3 basic keywords that are kind of universal. Tarot, of course, tarot card meanings are endless, bottomless, infinite. But when you're first learning tarot, or if you look up tarot card meanings in a book, you'll find the keywords. So deep pondering is taking a card like the Ace of Cups, and then taking the one, like a keyword that you like, and start to ponder the card and its keyword in your mind as you're gazing at the card. So let me talk you through this. We're going to use the keyword for the Ace of Cups as flow. That's one of the main keywords of the Ace of Cups. We get that sense from when we're looking at the image itself. You can see that the water is bubbling up and out of the cup into the lily pond beneath. So there's this idea that the cup is springing with water. It's falling down into the pond, but of course that pond water will evaporate. It'll go up into the clouds. It'll come back again. So this idea of flow. So start saying the word flow. Start considering what it means to flow, to be in flow. How does your body feel in flow? How do your emotions feel when you're in flow? What would it be like to flow with this card? What beauty and things that are unneeded drop away when you're in flow. The interesting thing about this practice, if you're contemplating the word alongside of the image, and you feel like you get stuck, or you feel like, I don't know, I'm done, just ask the card, do you have something more to reveal? Do you have something more to reveal? Flow. What would it be like to flow through your day? What would it be like to flow through that water? So this is the deep pondering of flow, of the Ace of Cups, which of course is the font of the suit of cups, the font of emotion, the font of dreams and imagination, right? This is the beginning of that suit. So that's another interesting kind of deep pondering thing, right? Because when you're in a flow state, you're in the beginning of something, right? Just like the Ace of Cups. So there's all of these really fun places that something like a deep pondering exercise will take you to. Once again, the key is to stick with it. So give yourself a set amount of time, like put your timer, your oven or your phone timer on. Stick with the card, stick with its keyword for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then, write or journal, record what's come up for you. Perhaps make a commitment to do this once a week with one card or with your tarot meetup group or however that you work. Because this also changes anytime you do any of these practices, you're deepening your relationship to the card. So the next time the Ace of Cups comes up for you in a reading, um, it's gonna feel different for you. You're gonna get deeper and richer information. The other interesting thing about deep pondering as well is that oftentimes when we've been pondering something, we'll be in a completely different situation. And perhaps that card, that keyword is going to pop up in your mind as a reminder of what you need to do, right? So you're kind of like filling the bank of your subconscious with these really beautiful kind of incandescent things that can really come to your aid when you're in a state of not being contemplative, right? When you're in a state of chaos or something like that, or freaking out, to remember to flow, to remember to breathe, right? It's the best. Okay. So speaking of writing, I'm going to bring you in to another exercise, which is a writing prompt. So writing prompts, and to do a contemplative writing, what that means is that you begin with an image and with the beginning of a sentence, or I would normally give you the beginning of a sentence, and you just start to write, and you just start to write freehand, and you don't worry about the spelling. You don't worry about punctuation because nobody is going to read this. It is an experience for you to get out of your mind and into the flow of discovering information that you might not have already gotten by any other means. So I am going to invite you right now to look at the image of the Ace of Swords. Have your pen ready and your paper ready. But right now, just take a look at the Ace of Swords. Again, this is a vastly different landscape than any of the other landscapes we've seen before. Since swords represents air and the mind, we see a high alpine, mountainous landscape. It's kind of cool. It's kind of quick. We see this hand coming out of a cloud, which clouds are always representative of manifestation. In the aces, it's manifestation from the invisible world into the visible world. So we see the hand coming through. So again, just like the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Swords is the beginning of thought, the beginning of the mental process, the beginning of the mind. We can see also that the hand is glowing. You can see those little sparks of energy denoting divine presence. All right. So now that you've gazed at the card, I'd like you to pick up your pen. I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to answer this question, write your answer, and just keep going and don't stop. And if you feel like you've run out of things to say, just write, I have more to say. I have more to say. So your prompt is, what I need to know right now is. What I need to know right now is. You can go ahead and put your pens and pencils down now if you like, or continue on. I always think it's funny with the Ace of Swords. It always, to me, when I see the Ace of Swords, makes me think of a pen, a writing implement. Actually, you could turn it around and just start writing with it. I'm going to leave you with one last really beautiful practice that you can put into your tarot toolkit. And this one fills me with joy. It might be the most powerful thing that you could do with the cards in a sense, and that is using them for a gratitude practice. Now, gratitude practices, we've all heard about them. We know they're great, they're important. Why is it such a big deal? Why is it such a big deal? Because when you sit down to embark upon a gratitude practice, especially like it, I'm a big fan of tarot in the morning, gratitude practices in the morning. To me, or whatever your morning might be, it just whenever you get out of bed, I think that if you have the time, it sets your day up in a beautiful, beautiful way because specifically gratitude is expansive, right? You start focusing on the things, obviously, that you're grateful for. And with that, once again, the same way that contemplative practices create space inside of yourself. A gratitude practice literally creates this expansive kind of magnetic space all around you. The key, of course, when we're working with gratitude practices is not to fake it until you make it. There's a lot of places in life where it can be really good to fake it until you make it, especially when you have to show up and do something, right? That maybe you're not, I don't know, that you feel weird about. So there's a time and a place for faking it. But with gratitude, when we're thinking and contemplating the things that we are grateful for, honesty is the most important thing. So finding something that you truly are grateful for. So maybe that's just the fact that you were able to wake up, right? Maybe it's just that you've got cozy pajamas on as you're writing or emailing your list of gratitude. The important thing is that it actually means something to you, that you actually can feel like, oh, I am really truly grateful for this thing. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be major, but it does, I feel like in gratitude, it does need to be real and it does need to be true for you in the moment that you're writing it down or expressing it. So what we're going to do here with the Queen of Pentacles is actually let that soft gaze meditation, that six senses of moving into the card, let the card lead us in what we're grateful for. So go ahead and follow along with my voice and have your pen and paper close by. And let's let the Queen of Pentacles be a guide into the things that we can be ecstatically grateful for in our life. So first, once again, just look at this image as if you've never seen it before. Maybe you have never seen it before. So just take a look at what you see. Like letting that really rich vegetative landscape. We see her sitting in a garden, beautiful blooming red roses, all kind of up and over and across from her. We see a bunny on the lower right side representing fertility. We see the colors of red and green and yellow. There's a lot of passion, right? There's a lot of growth. She's the Queen of Pentacles. Like we can even look at the name on the card, the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles Pentacles reflect earth, elemental earth. So when we're in the suit of Pentacles, this is everything that we can touch, taste, see, smell, feel, everything that's quantifiable. So she literally is like the luscious queen of the material world. Pentacles, the pentacle symbol of the circle, they're like the cells inside of our body. Pentacles are our physical bodies. They're the people that we love. They're the money that we accrue and spend. It's everything that we can touch, taste, see, and feel. Pentacles are our resources. So now, as you move inside the card, maybe smelling that garden, maybe feeling the soft fur of the bunny beneath your fingers, maybe even seeing if you can catch the Queen of Pentacles' attention, see if she looks at you. Once you fully inhabited that card, ponder, think to yourself, what is she reminding you that you're grateful for? And go ahead and start writing, I am grateful for. This isn't a writing prompt. You can just make a list, but I am grateful for. And some examples of that might be, I am grateful for my healthy body. I am grateful that summer's coming. I'm grateful that I love flowers. I'm grateful when I am in nature. I'm grateful to be in nature. You could look at the craftsmanship on her throne, which may even be carved out of wood, and say, I'm grateful for the craftsmanship of the objects that I love that bring me pleasure. So make a list. All of the things that you can be grateful for. And isn't this an interesting way of utilizing tarot? So in all of these circumstances, in all of these different practices, we haven't moved into the cards, kind of begging and pleading, like, tell us what we want to hear, tell me what's going to happen. I don't know about you, but something like that with the Queen of Pentacles, I feel like I've made a friend. I feel like she's reminded me of things maybe that I had forgotten. All of these practices and so many more really will open up your heart, your mind, certainly your tarot practice. The most important part, I think, of the cards is always understanding how we embody the energy of the cards. And this is a wonderful, wonderful way to do so. And the other thing too is I think that just being in a space of gratitude with the cards, because so many of us use them, use them like crazy. I think that the energy on the other side of the cards, the energy around us, feels that and responds to it. Will always respond, right? Because everything in life is a conversation. Everything in life is a conversation. So I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I hope that you could actually go back and use this video again and again, pulling different cards. You don't necessarily have to look at the cards that I had put on the screen. Allow my voice to lead you through your favorite tarot deck when you want to carve out some time in your day and move through these practices. Oftentimes it's a lot easier with somebody to guide you through. So please let this video be your guide. Let me be your guide. And ultimately, just keep experimenting and keep playing with the tarot. The energy of tarot grows and expands every time we work with the cards. And it's an extraordinary energy. Tarot is obviously an extraordinary device that we can kind of connect to everything with, and also lay things on top of. So I wish you the best of luck with your tarot practice, with your tarot relationship. And I also just want to say, as a final word is just to remember that, you know, your tarot practice, it really is a relationship. You know, sometimes it's hard and heavy and the cards feel great and you know what they're doing and what they're saying and they like kind of like are flying and dancing for you. And then sometimes it can be tough. And so I just want to invite you guys to also be very gentle with yourselves, with your cards, with your beautiful questions. And just continue to nurture and expand what you do and how you do, not only your life, but how you do your tarot practice. But it's been really wonderful to spend this time with you. So thank you so much for joining me, and hope to see you again soon.